Have you ever felt stuck watching luxury mountain homes in Colorado or Montana while thinking, I'd love that view, if only it didn't cost an arm and a leg? Imagine waking up surrounded by rugged peaks, whispering pines, and cool, clean air, without draining your savings. That longing to break free from high rent, endless commutes, and skyrocketing prices is exactly why you're here. In this video, I'll take you through 10 hidden Texas mountain towns so unbelievably affordable, you'll question everything you thought you knew about cost versus lifestyle. Starting next month, as more people hunt for the next big move, these places in Texas could quietly become the next hotspots. And today, you'll see them before they go viral. I've spent weeks digging into county tax records, local housing markets, utility rates, and community interviews, all to bring you towns that are small in fame, but big in value and beauty. You'll get real numbers, honest drawbacks, and lifestyle insights so you know exactly what to expect. If you stay until the end, I'll pinpoint the one town so under the radar that even locals laugh when I include it on the list. But that's also the one with the wildest potential. Let's go. Fort Davis, the desert mountain's secret. Perched nearly a mile high in the Davis Mountains, Fort Davis feels like a cliffside town dropped into West Texas, where desert meets Alpine, and every sunrise paints the sky in dramatic colors. With an elevation just under 5,000 feet, it claims one of the highest seats of any town in Texas. So when everyone else is sweltering down below somewhere, Fort Davis is catching the breeze. This town is tiny. Just over 1,000 souls call it home. Yet it carries a strong sense of community that's rare in places this remote. The landscape feels wild and open, with rugged ridges, scattered junipers, and vast desertscapes that stretch to the horizon. It doesn't scream tourist destination. It whispers, your next home. Real estate here is shockingly within reach. The median home value hovers around the $200,000 range, dipping lower in less developed areas. Some cabins and modest homes sell for well under $150,000 when you go off the beaten path. Over time, home values have shifted, but the core remains. Fort Davis lets you own a view instead of renting one. Rentals and small homes are often surprisingly affordable compared to big Texas cities. While housing markets elsewhere push a one-bedroom past $1,500, Fort Davis still has places where your mortgage or rent stays below what many people pay for utilities in urban areas. What makes Fort Davis really stand out is the balance. This is a place that offers solitude without isolation. You get access to the McDonald Observatory's star-studded skies, miles of trails through Davis Mountains State Park, and a living pace where traffic means a slow tractor crossing the road. You also get relief from punishing property taxes thanks to Jeff Davis County's lighter tax burden. A few years from now, when people realize that mountain life exists in Texas, Fort Davis could quietly slip into the spotlight. If you want wild views, cool nights, and something nobody else is watching yet, this is where your search should begin. Alpine, the mountain town with a cowboy soul. Alpine sits high on a plateau in West Texas, framed by the rugged peaks of the Davis and Chisos Mountains. At about 4,462 feet elevation, its evenings turn crisp, while its days glow golden under vast Texas skies. The town feels part desert, part frontier outpost, yet full of surprising culture, history, and affordability. Once just a stop along long roads between national parks, Alpine has quietly become a hub for artists, students, ranchers, and people tired of high-cost living elsewhere. Sul Ross State University brings youthful energy, lectures, art exhibits, and an academic anchor that keeps things lively year-round. Coffee shops, galleries, and local music shape a social fabric richer than its size would suggest. Real estate here is still in reach for many. Recent data show average home values near $250,000, with many properties below that in surrounding areas. That's still dramatically less than similar-sized towns elsewhere in mountain regions. Rental options often land in the mid-hundreds to low thousands, depending on size and location. Many residents find that owning or leasing here costs less than what people pay just for utilities in big cities. The cost of living index in Alpine runs well below the U.S. average. Daily expenses like groceries, healthcare, and basic services tend to be gentler on the wallet. Local property taxes stay manageable thanks to advantageous county policies. What gives Alpine real heart is its balance. A place where cowboy culture intersects with stargazing, where you can catch a rodeo performance, hike a rugged ridge, and then settle in for a quiet evening under the Milky Way. Locals will tell you this town has hidden bones. You don't just visit Alpine, it grows on you. If you're chasing a mountain town whose beauty whispers, whose cost lets you breathe, and whose soul feels Texan, Alpine might just be the one you stumble into. Then stay. Marathon, where the sky never ends. High out in Brewster County, Marathon sits at about 4,100 feet elevation, tucked into a desert mountain borderland where the horizon stretches farther than your eyes can follow. With just over 400 residents, it's the sort of place where the darkness reveals more stars than streetlights. That alone sets the mood. A town that feels vast but lived in. Marathon's beauty is quiet but powerful. Its landscape mixes rugged volcanic hills, open plains, and mountain silhouettes in every direction. The skies here are famously wide and often among the darkest in the continental U.S., which makes stargazers and photographers whisper about it as a hidden gem. On the affordability front, Marathon surprises. The average home value sits around the $174,000, and that number has seen modest upward movement but still lags far behind mountain towns in more hyped regions. Some smaller homes list for under $200,000, while larger or more remote properties climb, but remain within reach for many looking to escape high-cost areas. Rental options are limited, but when they appear, they tend to cost less than what many pay downtown for a cramped apartment. Cost of living runs well below many city centers. Routine expenses like groceries, utilities, and local services carry less burden, especially when compared to towns where you're already stretched thin before the rent. Property taxes in this region tend to be relatively light. Remote counties often maintain low rates to encourage settlement. What turns Marathon from cheap alternative to dream alternative is how life feels here. Walkable streets, a restored historic hotel, local art and music, and proximity to Big Bend National Park let you taste adventure without paying the resort markup. Locals call it a place to slow down but stay curious. Over the next few months, as the mountain town hunt intensifies, Marathon may rise quietly on people's maps. If you're after a spot where your money buys not just shelter, but space, silence, and sky, Marathon is one of those places that feel like a secret until it isn't. Cloudcroft, the high-altitude hideaway Texans claim as their own. Tucked into the pines of the Sacramento Mountains, Cloudcroft rises above the desert heat at over 8,000 feet, trading cactus and dust for cool breezes, towering firs, and the kind of quiet you can feel in your shoulders. Texans slip up here for the weekend, fall in love by Monday, then spend the next few months plotting how to make it permanent. Summer afternoons run crisp, while evenings invite sweaters. A rare combo this close to West Texas. Affordability is the surprise twist. This small mountain village delivers the Alpine lifestyle without the sticker shock you brace for in big-name ski towns. Modest cabins, fixer-friendly chalets, and tucked-away lots pop up at prices that let your mortgage breathe, especially when compared to the averages in major metros. Property taxes stay modest by national standards. Utilities tend to be manageable in the shoulder seasons, and simple local living keeps monthly costs from spiraling from next month as more remote workers chase cooler elevations. Early movers here still find room to buy smart. Lifestyle is where Cloudcroft wins hearts. The Lincoln National Forest wraps the town in trail mileage, trout-friendly creeks, and overlooks that make phones come out fast. A family ski hill and winter tubing keep the cold months fun, while shoulder seasons bring mountain biking and mushrooming in the shaded woods. White Sands' surreal dunes sit down the mountain, so one road trip offers snow, forest, and gypsum glow in a single day. Daily life feels intimate. Coffee on the wooden porch, a stroll past rustic storefronts, a night sky so clear you can pick out constellations without an app. Access makes it practical. From El Paso or the Permian Basin, the climb to Cloudcroft turns an ordinary Friday into a high-altitude reset. Services are small-town simple yet reliable, with groceries, hardware, and locally owned spots covering the essentials. Rentals appear in waves throughout the year, useful for test driving a season before committing, while regional medical and bigger box options wait in Alamogordo down the hill. Call it New Mexico by address and Texas by devotion. Cloudcroft keeps the mountain town promise that plays on repeat in your head. Clean air, pine shade, real community, and costs you can actually plan around. If your goal tomorrow is to trade freeway noise for wind in the trees, this is the high country retreat that Texans already whisper about. The place where your budget and your breathing both slow down. Sierra Blanca, the overlooked oasis. Sierra Blanca sits in a vast stretch of West Texas, where the Chihuahuan Desert meets rugged mountain silhouettes and the sky opens wider than most places you've looked. At an elevation just over 4,400 feet, the air here feels thinner, cooler, less burdened by smog or heat. That's part of its quiet appeal, though its population hovers in the low hundreds. This little community carries a weight in local lore. It's the county seat of Hudspeth County, and its history is stitched into the railroading and desert infrastructure of the region. The name Sierra Blanca comes from the imposing peak just northwest of town, a volcanic mountain crest reaching nearly 6,900 feet that looms like a white sentinel over the landscape. That peak and its volcanic siblings define the backdrop, giving you mountain mornings without having to climb too far. Because farming is tough in this arid terrain, large swaths around town remain undeveloped, which offers opportunity for land buyers willing to live simply and thoughtfully. Homes and land here remain bargain tier compared to mountain towns in more hyped states. Median home valuations are modest, some where you might pay in the tens of thousands rather than six figures. That level of affordability slings hot potential across the next months. If demand for mountain retreats expands beyond Colorado and Utah, Sierra Blanca could quietly catch which direction attention turns. Local property taxes stay lower than many Texas averages, and basic living costs, electricity, water, even local services, tend to lean light thanks to the small footprint of the town and the low-pressure system of regional utilities. Lifestyle in Sierra Blanca is all about gentle rhythms. Mornings might mean walking quiet streets to catch dawn over the mountains. Afternoon drives along AFM 1111, leading north, reveal sparse juniper, cactus, and stretches of empty road broken only by the occasional yucca forest or distant ridge. The Hudspeth County Courthouse is known for being the only adobe courthouse in Texas, with thick 18-inch walls that insulate against desert heat, yet anchor you in history. The old railroad depot, where two transcontinental lines once merged, is now a local museum holding artifacts and railroad memory for a place built at a confluence of ambition and isolation. Isolation here is a feature, not a bug. Interstate 10 runs just through town, making this hidden town surprisingly accessible from El Paso or Van Horn. Shops are small, services limited, but there's something freeing in having fewer distractions. No traffic signals dominate your mornings. No big box chains demand your attention. Nights offer dramatic darkness. Entire constellations appear in sharp definition where city lights would erase them. If you have a pair of binoculars or a camera, you'll find skies here that look like they were curated for your eyes. Some will say Sierra Blanca feels remote. That's true, yet it's livable. Year-round living is possible if you know what to expect. Occasional wind gusts, very dry atmosphere, and temperature swings that demand smart insulation. If what you want is a mountain-like backdrop, minimal cost, and a place where wide skies outdo wide screens, Sierra Blanca just might be one of the smartest under-the-radar bets in Texas. Stay open to it. The oasis that feels overlooked today may be the one everyone's stalking tomorrow. Van Horn, the gateway to the mountains. Van Horn rises from the desert floor at just over 4,000 feet, sitting quietly between the open plains and the shadowed ridges of far west Texas. It feels like the last true stop before the mountains begin. A small town that holds the edge between wilderness and convenience. With fewer than 2,000 residents, life here moves at an easy pace, but the scenery feels boundless. To the north, the Guadalupe Mountains carve a jagged horizon. To the south, the desert stretches into pale gold silence. This town's magic lies in its balance. It's remote enough to breathe freely, yet still connected by Interstate 10, making trips to El Paso or Marfa surprisingly simple. Van Horn is the kind of place where you can sip coffee while watching the sunrise hit the peaks, then drive to work or errands without a single stoplight delay. That calm, affordable rhythm is what keeps new families, retirees, and travelers pausing here, and some deciding to stay. Affordability here is eye-opening. Modest homes often fall in the $150,000 to $230,000 range, with land lots still available for far less than what you'd pay almost anywhere else with a mountain backdrop. Taxes remain modest, utilities are straightforward, and small town services help stretch every dollar further. Even with inflation touching nearly every corner of America, Van Horn has stayed steady, a place where you can still buy property without selling your future. The lifestyle is stripped of noise and full of space. Locals hike the nearby foothills, stargaze under dark skies, and explore short drives to the Guadalupe Mountains National Park. The scenery shifts with each mile. Desert ridges rise into green canyons, windmills dot distant valleys, and open roads call for a drive with no rush to return. On quiet evenings, you'll find the kind of silence that feels earned. A peace that hums below the wind, not above it. Van Horn's nickname as the gateway to the mountains isn't just a slogan. It's a promise. It's the entry point to the beauty most people think belongs only to New Mexico or Arizona. If you're ready to trade traffic for mountain views and rent payments for ownership, this is the kind of Texas town that lets you do both. Over the next few months, as more people start looking west for fresh starts and fresh air, Van Horn is quietly waiting to be discovered. Leakey, hidden gem of the Hill Country Mountains. Leakey rests deep in the heart of the Texas Hill Country, surrounded by rolling limestone ridges, cypress-lined rivers, and twisting scenic roads that make every sunrise feel cinematic. Pronounced Leakey, this town of around 400 residents captures everything people dream of when they think of peaceful Texas mountain life. Crystal clear water, panoramic views, and a community where neighbors wave before you even know their names. It sits along the banks of the Frio River, one of the most beautiful waterways in the state, where locals spend summer afternoons floating or fishing under the shade of ancient cypress trees. The terrain here surprises first-time visitors. Steep hills rise like small mountains, wrapping the town in green during spring and gold during fall. It's the kind of landscape that feels wild yet welcoming. A natural balance between rugged adventure and calm retreat. Affordability is where Leakey quietly outshines more famous hill country towns. While areas like Fredericksburg and Wimberley have surged in price, Leakey remains within reach. Home values generally hover between $220,000 and $300,000 depending on size and land, with smaller cabins and fixer-uppers often dipping lower. Land parcels, especially those just outside the town center, still offer mountain views and river proximity for prices that make people look twice. Property taxes in Real County stay below the state average, making long-term ownership realistic for retirees, families, or remote workers seeking a permanent escape. The cost of living here stays moderate compared to nearby resort-style hill country towns. Groceries, utilities, and local services remain grounded in small-town pricing, while the slower pace Misnzoi means less spending on stress-driven extras. The local economy thrives on tourism but lives on community. Seasonal visitors come and go, yet the core of the town remains steady, friendly, and welcoming. Lifestyle here feels like Texas nostalgia wrapped in mountain beauty. The Three Sisters Scenic Loop, Highways 335, 336, and 337, runs right through the area, drawing motorcyclists and road trippers chasing the state's most breathtaking drives. On quieter days, locals gather at riverside parks, barbecue spots, and open-air cafes where time doesn't matter. Nights bring cool air drifting off the hills, and the sky fills with 1,000 quiet stars that city dwellers forgot existed. Leakey may not make national headlines, but that's exactly why it's special. It's a hidden mountain pocket in the middle of Texas, still affordable, still genuine, still untouched by overdevelopment. For those ready to trade noise for nature and rent checks for real roots, Leakey proves that the hill country's heart still beats strongest where the crowds haven't yet arrived. Junction, nature's backyard bargain. Junction sits where the North and South Llano rivers meet, a quiet hill country town that feels like it was built by nature itself. Framed by soft limestone bluffs, live oak groves, and clear blue water, this small community of just over 2,000 people blends the spirit of the mountains with the warmth of rural Texas living. It's the kind of place where you can hear the river before you see it, and where every road seems to lead to a view worth pulling over for. This town has long been called the Land of Living Waters, and it earns that name every day. Locals fish for bass in the river, paddle kayaks through glassy stretches, or take slow weekend swims where the water stays cool all year. The surrounding hills roll gently but dramatically enough to create that mountain feel without the altitude. Wildlife is abundant. Sunsets are fiery, and mornings carry the crisp scent of cedar and river mist. Affordability makes Junction a standout in the hill country region. Home prices often hover around the $200,000 to $250,000 range, with plenty of smaller homes and country properties still dipping below that mark. Compared to nearby Kerrville or Fredericksburg, the difference is dramatic. Renting is also more forgiving, with apartments and small homes often well under $1,000 a month. Property taxes in Kimball County remain among the more modest in Central Texas, keeping long-term costs stable for both homeowners and retirees. Daily living in Junction stretches your dollar even further. Groceries, utilities, and healthcare all stay on the manageable side, and the local community takes pride in simplicity. Life here leans toward self-sufficiency and connection. Farmers markets, local shops, and friendly diners replace the noise of chain stores and traffic lights. It's a lifestyle that rewards those who value experience over expense. Junction's outdoor access is its biggest treasure. The South Llano River State Park sits right at the town's edge, offering hiking, camping, bird watching, and river tubing for little or no cost. The park is known for its clear trails and quiet campsites under the canopy of pecan trees, making it a favorite among nature photographers and families alike. On weekends, locals gather along the water's edge to barbecue, cast a line, or simply float away the afternoon. Junction feels timeless, anchored in nature, yet not far from modern convenience. For anyone craving a mountain-style life without leaving Texas, this town delivers the peace, affordability, and beauty that so many others have already priced out. Over the next few months, as people keep searching for budget-friendly mountain escapes, Junction will stand as proof that paradise doesn't have to come with a luxury price tag. Medina. Cozy, calm, and surprisingly cheap. Nestled deep within the Texas Hill Country, Medina feels like the kind of town you stumble upon by accident, only to wonder why the rest of the world hasn't caught on yet. Surrounded by soft mountain-like hills, shimmering creeks, and endless orchards, this quiet community radiates peace. It's small, just a few hundred residents, but what it lacks in size, it makes up for in serenity, charm, and affordability that still feels almost unreal for such a beautiful corner of Texas. Medina is often called the Apple Capital of Texas, and that's more than just a nickname. Each fall, the town fills with the scent of sweet fruit and homemade pies as local orchards open their gates for picking season. Rolling hills stretch in every direction, creating a natural amphitheater of color when the leaves shift. The Medina River snakes nearby, giving the area a steady rhythm of flowing water and gentle breezes. It's that blend of fertile land and mountain air that makes life here feel both wholesome and rich, even on a modest budget. Affordability remains Medina's quiet secret. Home values generally hover between $230,000 and $300,000, depending on size and acreage, with plenty of opportunities to find cabins or cottages priced comfortably lower. It's still possible to buy small lots or fixer-uppers near the river for under what you'd pay for rent in a major city. Property taxes in Bandera County are notably lighter compared to more urbanized areas, creating a major advantage for retirees and long-term residents. Even with rising demand for hill country homes, Medina's distance from major highways keeps it shielded from rapid price spikes. The cost of living stays refreshingly manageable. Groceries, utilities, and healthcare land below the state average, while the town's slower pace discourages the kind of endless spending that comes with city living. Locals describe Medina as a live simple, live well kind of place, where most expenses go toward experiences instead of bills. You'll find small family-run stores, farm stands and cafes that make it easy to support the community while keeping your wallet intact. Lifestyle here feels almost storybook. Mornings start with mist curling over the hills. Evenings end with sunsets glowing across the river. And neighbors still greet you by name. Outdoor life is effortless. Hiking, fishing, and weekend drives along the winding ranch road 337 offer world-class views without ever leaving the county. The town's proximity to Bandera and Kerrville means modern conveniences and healthcare are close by. Yet Medina itself holds on to that rare sense of peace that's hard to find in today's fast-paced world. For those chasing that perfect mix of mountain scenery, small-town kindness, and genuine affordability, Medina is one of Texas's most unexpected treasures. It's cozy, calm, and untouched by the chaos that's taken over so many hill country hotspots. If the goal is to live beautifully without overspending, Medina quietly proves that simplicity still wins. Terlingua, off-grid beauty for dreamers. Far out in the Big Bend region of West Texas, Terlingua rises from the desert like a mirage of creativity, freedom, and fierce independence. It's not your typical mountain town. It's raw, rugged, and almost spiritual in its isolation. The Chisos Mountains tower in the distance, their silhouettes glowing pink and gold at sunset, while the desert around them stretches into forever. Terlingua isn't for everyone, but for dreamers, artists, and off-grid adventurers, it's everything they've been searching for. Life here moves differently. There are no traffic lights, no chain stores, no fast pace to keep up with. Days revolve around the sun and the seasons. Mornings start with cool air drifting across the desert floor, while evenings bring skies so full of stars they look painted on. Residents are a mix of modern homesteaders, retirees seeking silence, and digital nomads chasing an unplugged lifestyle. The community is small, warm, and self-reliant. A group of people who value freedom over formality. Affordability is one of Terlingua's biggest surprises. Land prices remain far below national averages, with large tracts of acreage often listed for under $50,000, some even less depending on access and terrain. Modest homes or cabins fall around the $150,000 to $250,000 range, though many residents choose to build their own off-grid setups powered by solar. The cost of living stays refreshingly simple because life here prioritizes essentials over extras. Property taxes in Brewster County are low, adding to the appeal for anyone seeking a permanent base far from the chaos of cities. While services are sparse, nearby Study Butte and the gateway to Big Bend National Park fill in the essentials with gas stations, cafes, and small shops. The trade-off is clear. You give up convenience for a kind of wealth that can't be measured in dollars. The surrounding wilderness is your playground. Canyons, mesas, and trails that stretch for miles without another soul in sight. Big Bend Ranch State Park and the Rio Grande lie just minutes away, offering hiking, rafting, and views that feel almost otherworldly. Terlingua also thrives on its vibrant, unconventional culture. The annual chili cook-off, local art shows, and desert music gatherings turn this tiny town into a creative hotspot once or twice a year. But most days are quiet, meditative, and bathed in golden light. That's the rhythm that draws people here. A place where you can breathe, think, and live entirely on your own terms. For anyone dreaming of a life unchained from bills, noise, and rules, Terlingua is proof that paradise can exist on the edge of nowhere. Its raw beauty meets radical freedom, the kind of mountain desert magic where you can own land, build a home, and wake up every day feeling like you've stepped off the map without stepping out of Texas. The dream life isn't gone. It just moved to the mountains of Texas. Across these hidden ridges and river valleys, the Texas mountains are quietly rewriting the American dream. You don't have to wait for retirement, win the lottery, or chase crowded resort towns to live surrounded by peace and beauty. You just have to look where others haven't yet. From the wild heart of Terlingua to the rivers of Junction and the apple-scented hills of Medina, these towns prove that the dream of affordable mountain living is still alive. And it's closer than you think. The cost of peace is lower here. The pace slower. The stars brighter. So maybe your next move isn't up in price, but up in elevation. Because somewhere out there, between a canyon sunrise and a quiet Texas evening, the life you've been chasing might already be waiting for you.